This week on the Late Night Nerd Show, we talk about Cowboy Bebop on Netflix, a little bit of Doctor Who, and then even though we were supposed to talk about the Outer Worlds, we get lost talking about the Favloniverse. God bless John Dave. Let's get into it. Hey everybody, welcome to the Late Night Nerd Show. With me, of always, of course, is my squad leader, K. Scott Cooper. How you doing tonight, brother?
I'm doing well. I've got my mood lighting on, and no, that's not dirt on my chin. My beard is coming back.
Thank God for small miracles. I, of course, am the brewing sailor, Brendan Smith, and we've got a great show for you tonight. But before we get into that, please let me ask you to smash the subscribe button and please give that alarm bell a good old tickle so you make sure you see all of our videos as soon as they pop up.
Right there, that's tickling it.
That's the tickle. That is the tickle right there. That's the tickle. It's remember, it's an R-rated show, not NC-17, so calm down there. Anyway, tonight we're going to get into some stuff. First of all, before we get into the rest of the show, and I really got to stop spinning this chair. It's just I noticed that last week when I was watching going over the podcast and watching, I tend to do this back and forth. I'm not at yoga. That was this morning. I need to stop spinning my core. Anyway, I'm not kidding. I really do yoga. I'm fat.
Oh no, I'm not dodging that. I'm just saying it's all resistance training.
Well, it is, and I'm fat and I'm broken, and yoga helps me, and God bless the woman who's patient enough to teach me. Her name is Stephanie Ponder, by the way. She is a certified yogi, and she's fantastic, and she's a wonderful woman, and she comes down to our brewery to teach. So, how great is that?
Hey, man, I don't dog yoga.
Along.
I used to do it active duty. Yay, yoga.
Yeah. Before we get into everything else, moving on, I want to give a shout out to a fellow YouTuber who really kind of inspired me to get off my ass and start doing this. His name is Valiant Renegade. You can find him on YouTube under Valiant Renegade. You can find him under Twitter under the same. He right now is in Louisiana. That's where he's based out of, and he is suffering through Hurricane Ida. So, shout out to him. Hope he comes through it okay. Hope none of his property, family, anything else gets damaged. I hope all of his friends are happy and healthy, and so shout out to him because he's a cool dude and I like watching his videos. So I hope everything works out for him. Tonight we're gonna have a shorter video than we've normally had, unless Scott and I start waxing poetic, which we tend to do. But tonight we're going to talk about three major things we want to get into. First, we're going to talk about Cowboy Bebop on Netflix. Then we're going to get into the Book of Boba and the Favloniverse and some recent news that has come out, and hopefully it's true. And then finally, we're going to talk about our favorite game. And if you hadn't noticed what our favorite game is, you can see it. So this week, my favorite pub in the world, and Scott has been there, even though he lives on the East Coast and I live in Dallas, Texas.
It was my favorite pub in Texas.
It's fantabulous. This is one fantabulous place. I didn't misspeak. It's called Trinity Hall, and it just closed after 20 years of business. It was rather sudden. Everybody's very saddened by it. And it just was a fantastic place. And frankly, working in a salt tuna factory in Edgewater on Terra 2, right now it's probably a better life than being here on Earth. With that, also shout out to the families of the 13 Marines and Navy corpsmen who died this week defending people trying to get out of Afghanistan.
Yeah.
That sucked. Also, shout out to the lieutenant colonel who lost his job and got drummed out of the Marine Corps for calling out the brass for being stupid, because they are. Good on you, Colonel. Hope you land on your feet.
Yep.
He was kicked out of the Marines for we no longer have confidence in his ability to lead. And the irony of that is the Marines under him have never had more confidence in his ability to lead.
Yep.
But, the brass couldn't trust him to swallow their cock anymore, so he had to go.
Yep. That is the sad truth. And that's something that, I can attest to. You see all the time, especially being in the Air Force. You get a guy who's willing to stand up, guy who's willing to, back the enlisted or whatever, because, he comes from there, and then they, sideline him. And then they find any way they can to, nickel and dime him with, PT or whatever they can to, find
just
a way
bullshit
to get them
duty,
out.
just whatever way to get him to, quit, to leave. And if they can't get him to leave, they'll just stonewall his career until he has to get out.
Yep.
So yeah, it's really sad to see that some of the best officers we have and the best leaders of men get kicked out because they
don't play the game.
They don't play the game, and in a bureaucracy, whether it's civilian, whether it's Jeff Bezos at the helm, or whether it's, the Secretary of Defense at the helm, mediocrity tends to rise to the top. So the good ones, they get kicked out. Anyway, let's move on from serious bullshit. Let's get to, so now we've covered Hurricane Ida, we've covered the unfortunate events in Kabul. So let's move on to more fun, nerdy stuff, which is why we're all here. So let's start off with Cowboy Bebop. So the first images were dropped this week across social media, news outlets everywhere, showing John Cho, among others, and the cast of Cowboy Bebop. Scott, what were your thoughts?
Why did John Cho not have eyebrows? Where did they go?
That's an interesting question.
I
don't know. When he broke his, they said that he had a devastating injury, which pushed back filming for like 8 months. Maybe it was, there was a pyrotechnic explosion and he lost his eyebrows. I don't know.
Because Spike has eyebrows. He very clearly has eyebrows.
Yes. Yeah. That's an interesting observation that I did not pick up on. So kudos to you, sir.
But other than that, no, I'm looking forward to it. It looks exciting. But
and I'm spinning again. God damn, I gotta stop that. Sorry.
Like a rocking horse.
I'm the old man. I'm like Clint Eastwood in Gran Torino right now. Like, get off my lawn. Anyway, sorry. God, it's getting bad, man. Woof. Getting old. If the gray wasn't a clue, I tell you.
I didn't recognize the actress who they're gonna have play. I'm sorry, actor. I gotta work on that. I don't want to be rude. I didn't recognize the actor that they're gonna have play Valentine.
So I have the wonders of 2 monitors.
Oh, joy!
I am going to look this up right now for you. So go on with that point, and I will. Well, that's the old Cowboy Bebop. That's the real Cowboy Bebop, not the old Cowboy Bebop. So I'm sorry for all you Cowboy Bebop fans that I just. So let's see. Danielle Pineda is playing Faye Valentine. Alex Hassel is playing Vicious. Mustafa Shakir is playing Jet Black. So John Cho is playing Spike.
Yeah.
So those are the people we have there. So if you want to look them up, you can, and maybe I'll be able to, through the magic of editing, put their pictures in here. As I was talking later, we're learning this YouTube thing as we go, folks. So bear with us. We're trying. We are.
Really
we might not be good at it, but we're trying.
No.
So those are the folks we have. And look, here's the thing. I think it looks as good as any. It kind of, what it really actually looks like? When I first saw it, I was like, wow, why did they cancel Altered Carbon?
Yeah, no shit. That's straight up. It's just like a more like neon punk version of Altered Carbon.
Because I don't think it looks like Cowboy Bebop. Like, I remember, my buddy Adam. So for those that don't know, I have a friend of the show, Adam Villarreal. He has been one of my best friends for 20 plus years. I met him in Hawaii when we were in the military. We actually met on his 21st birthday, which would have been in March of 2000. So been a while. And no, March of 99. I'm sorry. God, I'm dating. I can't even remember years. So been a while. Anyway, he is a huge anime fan. He introduced me to Cowboy Bebop, to Trigun, to Ninja Scroll, to Record of Lodoss War. Like, okay, so these are all things I know because of Adam. And I'm watching this and I'm just like, this doesn't look like Cowboy Bebop. It looks like Altered Carbon. And I'm a little concerned by that because, frankly, from everything I've heard, I'm not a huge anime guy. What I know from Adam and from my wife. But from what I've seen from other people, everybody's like, Netflix, when they do anime, they tend to kind of fuck it up.
Yeah, because of course, we all know what they did to fucking. God damn it! I'm brain spacing.
Death Note.
Death Note. There it was.
Yes, yeah, I heard that there were. No, I'm not a huge Death Note fan. I didn't see the original, but I know a lot of people that did, and
they were very disappointed about it.
Yes, it was universally reviled.
Yeah.
Like the reactions to Death Note on Netflix from Death Note fans was similar to my reaction to The Last Jedi, which was kind of like that episode from Family Guy where they all tried to drink the Ipecac while seeing who was the last guy to puke got the pie.
Pie, exactly, yeah.
And then, Lois comes in and says, "Who wants chowder?" And they all puke. That was kind of, my reaction to Last Jedi. And basically, I think that was every Death Note's fan reaction to Netflix Death Note. So,
yeah, I mean,
not a great track record.
Yeah, I mean, I have Rurouni Kenshin, which is a great anime. Setting in my queue because they did a live action one on Netflix, and I don't want to. A part of me wants to, but I don't want to.
I actually want. There is one anime I want Netflix to do because I hated it, and so maybe Netflix can do better. And that's X. Did you ever see X?
I did not see X.
My wife just groaned from off screen. Like an audible sigh where her head went, God. So, yeah. So X was a fantastic anime for like, I don't know if it's 8 or 10 episodes up until the last 5 minutes. Okay. It is the worst, most anticlimactic ending to an anime, comic, manga, movie, cartoon, basically any form of video or artistic storytelling ever. It's great. It's Shakespearean. It's two brothers and like one's good, one's evil, and it's building to this climactic battle. And the climactic battle, they chose to go with kind of a realistic sword fight where one guy swung, the other guy swung, one guy broke the other guy's sword and he cut the other guy in half. Does it?
Yeah, no. Okay, cool.
10 episodes building up to one sword swing. And then there's like no epilogue. It just ends. Maybe there was, but maybe my brain just shut off because I didn't care at that point. Like, I don't even remember. Like, I'd have to watch it again, but I don't care to. So, yeah. I hate that anime, and I feel so bad for hating it because these artists and animators and storytellers and voice artists did all this amazing work. And even though I don't speak Japanese, just the subtitles and the listening to the Japanese, the voice, you could tell the passion that went into the voice artistry. And, it moved me. And I don't speak but very rudimentary few phrases in Japanese. And then the ending came. Yeah. So while I have no doubt that Netflix is going to somehow screw up Cowboy Bebop, I just hope they don't screw it up so bad that it's unwatchable. I'm really interested to see if they could do X better. Because frankly, if you change the ending, it couldn't be any worse.
No, that's very true. Very true. God, now I'm trying to think of a film that has a really shitty ending that they could just redo. And I'm like, oh no, that's great.
The Village.
Yeah. The Village.
So Marcus always gets. So on our other show, folks, that Scott is the squad leader for, and I've been the co-host for about 10 years, is That Nerd Show instead of the Late Night Nerd Show. That Nerd Show airs Saturday mornings live from 10:30 to noon, also on YouTube and various other platforms. You can find them on That Nerd Show YouTube channel, thatnerdshow.com, That Nerd Show on Facebook, That Nerd Show on Twitter. You get the idea. Anyway, he always gets mad at me for telling this story. I don't even remember the movie I was at. but there was a trailer for The Village. And of course, they're like, don't go out into the woods. Don't go out into the woods. So what does Joaquin Phoenix does at the end of the trailer? He goes out in the woods and cliffhanger. Ooh. I'm sitting there going, if I go see that movie and that motherfucker walks out onto I-75, I'm going to be pissed. 6 months later, I get a phone call from a buddy of mine in the Navy watching the movie. He just comes out of seeing the movie and he goes, how the fuck you gonna ruin a movie for a dude 6 months before it comes out? To this day, I still have not seen The Village because I already guessed the M. Night Shyamalama twist.
So how I watched The Village was very similar. I sat down, started watching the film, got about 10 minutes into it. And I was with a friend of mine at the time. And I said, dude, pause the film. And he goes, what? And I was like, are you getting this feeling that this dude's just going to walk out and all of a sudden he's just going to be on this road and there's going to be like a McDonald's or something right there at the end of this film? And he's like, I don't know, hold on, let me check. And then so we fast forward all the way to the end to the last second, like last possible bit. And there it is. And I was just like, do you want to watch the end of the rest of the movie now? And he goes, nah, fuck it. So we just went to the bar earlier.
Yeah. So maybe The Village. So Netflix, if you want to redo some things, you can redo X. And actually, this is like a meme now too, isn't it? It's like, instead of redoing things that we actually like, why don't you redo movies and TV shows that were based off of really good concepts, but were really poorly executed?
Exactly. Like
so,
The Room.
You're killing me. Anyway,
Mark and Lisa.
Mark and Lisa. Oh God, Tommy Wiseau. You know what? I'll give this dude credit.
No one to this day knows what the fuck he does for a living.
And you know what? Who cares? Like, good on him, because he made a shit ton of money off of making the worst movie ever. Like there's something to be said for that. There's an achievement. Like, you're not just bad, you're historically bad.
I know. And I honestly, like, I want to be in the room when he dies and they do his autopsy because his skin does not look real. I want to know what's really under that fucking thing. It's not.
You won't
be able
to, because it'll be at Area 51.
It will be in a tube.
Yeah, old Brent Spiner with long hair will be doing the autopsy.
Long fingernails too.
All right, so Cowboy Bebop, more than cautiously optimistic, I guess. Like, we're hopeful. We want it to be halfway decent. We don't trust it.
Yeah, it's like when you see a friend that you've known in high school forever, and then like they went off to another college, and like they get out of the car and they look really different. You're like, okay, cool. He's not wearing board shorts and Crocs, so that's a start. And he waved normal, so you're like, okay, maybe he has changed. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. So, all right. We're getting back towards some of our more meat and potatoes issues now. We're going to get back to what some people like to call the Mandoverse.
Stop. Don't call it the Mandoverse. Stop that.
I prefer the Favloniverse.
I agree with you. I think the Favloniverse.
Because it's Favreau and Filoni. You put it together, it's a lovely thing.
Well, plus because so many other things are going to keep touching within that realm, it's going to become a greater thing.
Oh, a much greater thing. Now, there is a rumor too that I don't put much stock in yet, but there is a rumor that the third season of The Mandalorian, and this is a rumor, take it a giant grain of salt. I have no confirmation. I have not seen anything from Disney. I've not even seen anything from like highly respected sources yet that says this is set in stone. This is just a rumor I heard off of another channel who, to her credit, she's not Mike Zero. If she posts some things, she's heard some things. And her name is Star Wars Meg, and she does a very good job. And we wish her all the success here. She's doing phenomenally well. She's doing a hell of a lot better than us. God bless her.
Yeah.
So she said she heard that The Mandalorian will only run for 3 seasons. And to me, that's disappointing on a couple of levels. First of all, I don't want the Mandalorian run for 7 or 8 seasons, because let's face it, after 5 seasons, you're probably jumping the shark.
Like, yeah, you're humping drive at that point.
Right.
You know?
Like you're grinding on a dorsal fin, and you just shouldn't be. For me, I think sci-fi shows the real sweet spot for sci-fi comic, whatever, is 5 seasons, because first season's world building, second season sets up the meat of the story, third season and fourth season are kind of your climactic, and then your fifth season is kind of wrapping everything up. And to me, that's Babylon 5. And Babylon 5 really, if they didn't think they were being canceled after 4 seasons, they would have had time to drag out the Shadow War, and then the last season could have been the stuff with Earth. And it just, they kind of had to rush everything, but it was really meant to be 5 seasons from the beginning. It was each season 1 year. And JMS, John Michael Straczynski, who's done a bunch of other stuff. He's done Ninja Assassin. Hell, he worked on, believe it or not, he was the driving force behind the real Ghostbusters cartoon. He even worked on Murder, She Wrote, going back in the day. Like, this guy's been around forever.
He's a brilliant writer.
Fantastic writer. And so, there's rumors he may even get a shot at running Doctor Who, which would be, I think, a huge shot in the arm for Doctor Who.
That'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, an American's take on Doctor Who, and an American who can write, because I think the last couple of seasons of Doctor Who, both with the female Doctor, and not that a female Doctor in and of itself is a bad thing, I just think the writing has been terrible. But I thought the writing was terrible going back to Peter Capaldi, and I love Peter Capaldi. Like, as an actor, I think Capaldi's amazing. I just don't think he was given any good material to work with. I think Doctor Who,
him and the writer at the time that was writing for Doctor Who at the time,
Stephen Moffat.
Yeah, Stephen Moffat. They hated each other.
Doesn't surprise me,
because he doesn't like how Stephen Moffat's a piece of shit.
And I've heard that from many different people.
Yeah, so that's ultimately why he got out as soon as he could, because he just couldn't fucking take it.
I think for me, I think Doctor Who peaked with David Tennant and Matt Smith. But
I waned on Matt Smith. That was where I kind of tapered off and didn't want to watch anymore. But David Tennant for me was, well,
I loved Eccleston, and I loved David Tennant. But when we got to Matt Smith had to grow on me, but I stuck with it, and he did. And I will say this: a lot of the credit goes to the actress who plays River Song, because she's just fantastic. She is so snarky and flirty, and
I have always had a crush on her in any role she's ever had.
I gotta look up who plays her up now, because now I feel bad because I don't remember her name offhand. So
she could look like a sack of potatoes, and I would still think she was gorgeous.
Apparently IMDb sucks. Now I have to look at Doctor Who.
So I said they're bad people. Don't trust them.
Yeah, there's that. All right, so let's see if I can. All people. Come on, you piece of crap-tastic.
Imagine filth. All the people.
Alex Kingston. That's the actress. Yeah, and she is fantastic. She's great. She's been in ER. She was in Alpha Dog. So just a wonderful, wonderful woman and a fantastic actress. So she was even the adult Dinah Lance in the Arrowverse. Some people might know her from that back in 2013 through 2016.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
So that was she's a fantastic woman, and we love her to death. And we've totally lost our train of thought there. Anyway, we're back on Boba Fett. So somehow we got derailed into Doctor Who. Apologies, folks. It happens. We've been drinking. This is the show with a 2-drink minimum. Remember that. So cheers. Tonight I am drinking a beer from Community Brewing in Dallas, Texas. It's called the Texas Lager, just a nice, easy drinking lager. I think I saw a little flask over there. Was that correct?
Oh, me? No, that is my Yeti, my Yeti cup.
Oh, okay.
I just have water in it.
Oh, sad. Moving on. All right, so Book of Boba Fett. So Star Wars Meg, who we talked about earlier, also brought up that one of my favorite Clone Wars characters, the great, the terrifying, the Have Blaster Will Travel, Cad Bane, could be making his live action premiere in the Book of Boba Fett. And if that happens, ooh, you thought you saw Fat Man Squee for Luke Skywalker?
If that happens, I will actually start watching The Mandalorian.
You haven't yet?
I have not.
You're killing me, boss.
I'm anti-Disney right now.
Okay, but here's the thing, though. See, we already pay for Disney Plus, so you don't have to pay them anything. You're actually stealing from them. I didn't say that.
No,
hey, Disney, if you don't want us to do it, don't have multiple broken profiles. That's all I got to say.
Yeah,
that's your fault.
And if you don't want us to do it, don't screw over Scarlett Johansson.
That's facts. Anyway, point being, dude, you should watch it because, and the reason why, like, I'm not a big fan of Disney either. But not giving Disney money or not giving Disney, like, A, we're still going to talk about them, right?
Oh, yeah.
B, if we want stuff that we actually like.
Yeah, we got to keep watching it.
You got to keep watching. You got to watch the stuff that you do like. So you have to vote. Like, people used to talk about voting with your wallet. Well, in today's day and age, you almost have to vote with a click.
Yeah, true.
I choose to watch Mandalorian on repeat. Why? Because I want Mandalorian. You know what I have never clicked on to watch again? Any of the sequel trilogy. Because I don't want them to produce more of that.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Now, Rogue One I have watched many times. I've even watched Solo a few extra times because I think Solo gets a bad rap. Mainly because it came out 6 months after The Last Jedi. So it's not, of course, it's not Harrison Ford, so that gets a bad rap. It's, but mainly it came out 6 months after, Ryan Roundhead Soccer Ball Johnson decided he was going to destroy Luke Skywalker, and under the guise of subverting expectations, because just giving fans what they want is fan service. I hate when people use fan service as a derogatory term. Of course, it's fan service.
We pay your fucking bills.
And if the original movie wasn't good, you wouldn't have to service the fans because none of us would have watched it in the first place.
Very fucking much.
So yeah, so I hate that. But you really should watch The Mandalorian. If nothing else, watch the last 10 minutes of the season 2 finale. Because my God, watching Luke, and these are phase 3 dark troopers, right? These are not phase 1s. These are the baddest of the bad dark troopers. Watching Luke cut through an entire platoon of dark troopers like they're Swiss cheese. And at the end, he gets the last one and he just stops him with the Force, picks him up, and then slowly crushes him like a tin can. And it was like Force Crush on screen. Like, I used Force Crush whether I was a good guy or a bad guy, even though you're not supposed to. In Knights of the Old Republic, that's where they first had it, was as a playable ability in video games. Now you have Luke Skywalker Force crushing a phase 3 dark trooper. To me, that was almost more iconic and more geeky of a moment than when he actually took off the hood and you see it's Luke Skywalker. So
yeah, no, because that right there says it all. Because like, people are gonna fucking turn around and be like, "What? You're talking about the Force?" Yeah, no, but it takes a very, very strong Force user to do a Force crush. Like, it's just as hard.
And it wasn't even out of hate. It was just out of boredom. He was just like, "You're boring me, son."
Well, probably not even that. I mean, think of what that motherfucker had to do to get to where he was as a dark trooper anyway. So Luke is just
No,
doing the Lord's work.
Dark troopers are the phase 3 dark troopers. That was something they addressed in the show. The clone doctor from the very first episode is back in this episode, and he was like, no, these are phase 3 dark troopers. There is no one in the suit. The human was the last problem to be solved. These are advanced battle droids. And in the show, the Mandalorian has his hands full using all of his weapons just to take out one, and really only his unbreakable Beskar spear, which can fight a lightsaber, because Beskar is the only metal that can stand up to a lightsaber. So he has a pure Beskar steel saber or a spear, and he shoves it through the thing's neck and rips its head off. And that's the only way he was able to, but he was only able to do one. He spaced the rest, and then the rest end up using their boosters in their feet to come back on the ship. And they're all held up on the bridge going, and Giancarlo Esposito, who's excuse me, I'm mispronouncing his name, Giancarlo Esposito, who is a phenomenal actor that you probably know from Breaking Bad.
Yes.
He is playing Moff Gideon, and Moff Gideon just starts laughing because they have him captured, and he's like, "You had a hell of a time with one dark trooper. Let's see how you do against a platoon." And they all start coming back on the ship. And I laughed because a whole platoon of them come up through the bay and then land, and they kind of do that one knee superhero landing. And of course, Gina Carano is on the bridge, and Gina Carano did the superhero landing in Deadpool, where Deadpool's like, superhero landing. And you can ask my wife, I went and did that just because I knew she was on the bridge. And as soon as they all landed, I was like, superhero landing. Anyway, so they're all freaking out. And then the X-Wing shows up, and Katie Sackhoff, who plays Bo-Katan, and she's Bo-Katan in the cartoons, she's trying to say, incoming aircraft, identify yourself. And Cara Dune's sitting there going, what, a lone X-Wing? Oh, great, we're saved. Being sarcastic. And then Luke gets out and starts cutting his way through the dark troopers, and Bo-Katan's like, a Jedi? Like, because she hasn't seen a Jedi in 25 years. Right? And so then it just goes nuts from there. And if you can hear a dog howling, that's my beagle out in the back. Anyway.
Okay. Beagles are just cute. They're fun.
They're cute. They're also very loud. They're lovable but loud. Anyway, so this is kind of what's all setting up. So Book of Boba Fett, at the end of season 2, the very end of season 2, in the after credit scene, Boba Fett and Fennec Shand, who is a bounty hunter they introduced in season 1 of The Mandalorian, comes back in season 2 of The Mandalorian, played by the lovely, talented, and absolutely stunningly gorgeous Ming-Na Wen, who is the only woman to have the Disney triple play. She is a Marvel character, Agent May in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Yep. She was
Disney
Mulan.
princess. She was Mulan.
Yep. And now she is a Star Wars character. She's Fennec Shand. So she has the Disney triple play. I really want her to get a voice role in a Pixar movie so she can have the Disney 4-way, which sounds like something that should be on Pornhub, but let's move on. My wife laughed first. That's the only reason I brought that up. Anyway, and she is now crying over in her seat. But so at the end of it, they walk into Jabba's palace and start shooting people. And
that's one does.
Yeah, because Jabba's long dead at this point. This is 9 years, or I think 6. This is 9 or 10 ABY. So this is 5-6 years after Return of the Jedi. You even see one of the girls run out, and it's one of the blue-haired singers from the Return of the Jedi special edition version of the song in Jabba's palace, or I should say blue skin, red-haired singers. And then Bib Fortuna is on the phone, or on the throne. He's on the throne, and he's wielding a scepter. And the really cool thing about the scepter, and this just tells you what fans John and Dave are, the scepter was a scepter that came with Bib Fortuna's original action figure, but was never shown in the movies.
I know what you're talking about.
Right. So they put it
Yeah.
in that scene. So he's sitting there with that scene on Jabba's dais. Now he's got his own throne chair. And he goes, he says in Huttese, he says, "Bubba, so good to see you. I thought you were dead. I didn't know." Without saying a word, Bubba just shoots him in the chest and walks up and just unceremoniously yanks him out of the chair, sits down, puts his carbine off to the side, puts his hand on his hip, his other hand on this side. Fennec Shand sits on the side of the throne, grabs a glass of some type of blue alcohol and starts drinking it. And you just hear this wonderful music, which, by the way, I think the composer's name is Ludwig Gustafsson. I have to hold on. So who is the composer on The Mandalorian? There we go. Ludwig Göransson, excuse me. This guy's awesome. Like, he is going to be the new John Williams going forward. Because, John's getting up there and he probably wants to retire. But Ludwig his music on The Mandalorian has been fantastic. And so you get this wonderful bassy, like, it's like double bass and cello, boom, 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 boom. And it's just him sitting there. And then it goes to black, and it's just Fennec Shand and Boba Fett sitting on the throne room in Jabba's palace, and it goes to black, and it says The Book of Boba Fett coming Christmas 2021. When I saw that, so I've already just like seen Luke Skywalker just be full on post Return of the Jedi badass Luke Skywalker. So I've already lost my damn mind, right? And then I see that and I'm like,
yeah, that sounds pretty cool.
So yeah, so this is the setup, right? And we get the Book of Boba Fett. So next year we have like an episode of Star Wars almost every week, because Book of Boba Fett starts in December and it's going to be 8 episodes. Okay. So that's going to take us through the end of January, maybe into early February. My guess is the next show we see after that is going to be Kenobi. And that'll probably start late February, early March. And that's 6 episodes. So that's going to take us into April. My guess is after that, we're going to get season 2 of The Bad Batch, which is already confirmed. And if that's 16 episodes like last year was, now we're talking 4 months starting in May, June, July, August. Okay. Yep. Then we're going to get Andor, the prequel to Rogue One with Cassian Andor. And everybody's been sleeping on this show. And I want to tell people, don't sleep on this show, because Andor, like, all right, my first movie going experience that I remember was in the summer of 1983. I was 5 years old. I was pissing off my mother, and she just told my sister, like, all right, get him out of here. So they take me to a drive-in theater, the Rustic Drive-In, Route 146 in Lincoln, Rhode Island. It's still there, or at least it was last time I was in Rhode Island. And I saw a double feature of Roger Moore as Ian Fleming's James Bond in Octopussy in Star Wars Return of the Jedi. I've been waiting for a James Bond Star Wars crossover ever since.
This is it.
This is it. All right. Andor is a spy. Cassian Andor is a spy. So this is it. Plus, there's all types of cameos you could have. And Ahsoka show's coming in 2023. You could easily have Ahsoka Tano in that show, because she was Fulcrum at that time. She was working with the rebels at the time. You could have Hera Syndulla. You could have Kanan Jarrus. You wouldn't have Ezra Bridger. He wouldn't be there quite yet. Excuse me. Mm-hmm. You could have Chopper. By the way, I love that little psychopath Chopper. Anyway. But, Obi-Wan Kenobi's available. He's still there. You could still have him. Maul isn't quite dead yet. You could still have him, because we know when Maul dies, and that happens in Rebels.
Yeah, because that's the showdown with him and Kenobi, just in
the sands of Tatooine, a year before the Battle of Yavin. Yeah. So there's all types of wonderful, wonderful cameos that can happen. We know for a fact we're getting the same one who played Mon Mothma in Rogue One. Garm Bell Iblis can be in this. There's all types of ancillary characters that can be in this. So I think it's gonna be a lot of fun.
No,
That's
it
gonna
sounds like a
come.
lot of possibilities. A lot of
Yeah.
possibilities.
So we know that's wrapped filming. So that's probably gonna come right after
Yeah.
Bad Batch season 2. Well, that's gonna be 12 episodes. So that's 3 months. That takes us to the end of the year. That brings us to Mandalorian season 3, which we know is going to be 8 episodes, is going to bring us into early next year, which brings us to Ahsoka season 1.
Hmm.
And so now we've got Cad Bane in the Book of Boba Fett. We've got Ahsoka, we've got Andor, we've got all these other characters. Like, this is all coming together, and where it's all going is to the Thrawn trilogy, because we already know they already name dropped Thrawn in season 2 of The Mandalorian. Ahsoka is still looking for Thrawn.
Hmm.
And she's looking for Thrawn because she's looking for Ezra Bridger. Because at the end of Rebels, Ezra Bridger takes Thrawn into the unknown regions to take him off the chessboard, so to speak, for the rebellion. That's why Thrawn's not involved during the rebellion era war. Well, at the very end, there's an epilogue scene where Ahsoka goes back to Lothal to pick up Sabine Wren to go hunting for Ezra. Dave Filoni has strongly hinted that epilogue scene at the end of Rebels, they say that it takes place post Return of the Jedi, but he has strongly hinted that it actually takes place after The Mandalorian season 2, and that Ahsoka doesn't go to pick up Sabine until after she's already met Din Djarin and Grogu.
Hmm.
And so that means we'll probably get to see that scene in live action. And we already know that Lars Mikkelsen, the older brother of Mads Mikkelsen, who is, for those who remember Rogue One, was Galen Erso. He's also been Hannibal Lecter in the Hannibal TV show. He was Lashif in Casino Royale. Just a phenomenal actor. His older brother, Lars Mikkelsen, is a great actor as well. He is the voice actor that he was in the 3rd or 4th season of Sherlock. He was the enemy. He was the anti-Sherlock who also had the mind castle. So he was the voice actor for Grand Admiral Thrawn in Rebels. And they actually drew Thrawn to kind of look like him, the high cheekbones, the very angular jaw. So all they have to do is get him to shave his goatee, paint his skin blue, slick his hair back black, and color his eyes red, and boom, it's Thrawn.
But if they add a little bit of prosthetic makeup if they feel they need to.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's about
so
it.
you throw him in a white jacket with the Grand Admiral badge, and you got Thrawn, baby. So we already know Thrawn and Ezra Bridger have been cast. And it's kind of funny because the guy that got to play Ezra Bridger is the guy that played Aladdin in the live action Star Wars, or live action Disney version of Aladdin. And Ezra Bridger is kind of jokingly referred to among Star Wars fans as the Star Wars version of Aladdin.
So there you go.
So it was
keeping it in the family.
The casting was a bit on the nose, but not bad. So there's all these wonderful things, and we're totally gonna get the Thrawn trilogy. Like, we're gonna get some version of the Heir to the Empire. Are we gonna get Jorah Sabath as the Dark Jedi who fights Luke Skywalker? No, but they might, Sabine and Ahsoka might find Ezra and Thrawn and find out that Ezra has had to work with Thrawn to survive, and now sees that Thrawn might be right for different reasons that they don't understand. And now all of a sudden Ezra is the Dark Jedi helping Thrawn. So there's a lot of different ways they could go with that. They could bring Mara Jade Skywalker into it. Please don't let it be Brie Larson. Please. Can we please have, and I can't remember her name for the life of me, and she was in Doctor Who, Karen Gillian. We already know that she can be badass because she was, one of Thanos's daughters. She was also badass in the new Jumanji movies. So we know she can do all the physical stuff. And she has the amazing benefit of actually looking like Mara Jade Skywalker.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, she already nailed it on the nose. I know the artist who rendered her in the
Yeah.
90s probably never even realized this child existed, but
Hmm.
it was just like there was a prophecy.
Yeah, let's see. Karen Gillian was born in 1987. So yeah, Karen Gillian was probably about 4 or 5 years old when Mara Jade Skywalker was first drawn.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah. So
Because she came in the Heir to the Empire trilogy, and let's see when that came out.
I don't even remember
Oh,
when that came out. I
1991.
was
So she was 4 years old.
yeah. So I was all of 6, maybe 5.
Oh, you young bastards.
And hey, I'll be 35 in less than 12 days. Eat shit.
I'll be
Actually, not
43
less
in
than
less
12 days.
I'll be 43 in less than 12 months.
Ooh.
Well, it'll actually be about 3 months, but yeah. Oh, 4 months. Yeah, 4 months to the day, actually. The 29th. Yeah, 4 months to the day.
Yeah.
I'm an old fucker. Anyway, moving on. So you have now heard everything that I want out of the Mandoverse. What are some of the things you want to see in, if not out of the Favloniverse, just out of Star Wars in general in the next, say, 5 years?
Oh
If you
man.
if you could your pick of any Star Wars story that has already been published and one that hasn't. Give me a couple of ideas.
Oh, Shadows of the Empire. Right now, I want the Favloni to travel to tackle Shadows of the Empire. And for those of you who don't know what Shadows of the Empire is, Shadows of the Empire was this amazing little juxtaposition storyline they created in the 90s, that essentially is this crazy, 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 crazy up and down journey of Luke, and essentially how he really hardcore transitions from being I'm a little boy who was on a desert planet from Tatooine to I am Luke Skywalker and I will kill every single fucking motherfucker in this room.
Well, yeah, and
Yeah.
it was for those who don't know, it was for the 90s a really ambitious storytelling event because it involved books, comics, and a video game
And toys.
and toys. But of course, it's Star Wars. It's toys. Come on, I mean, you want to talk toys? Hold on, Han Solo Hoth. Anyone?
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just I've got like 30 more hidden behind my monitor. But yeah, so when I actually get to a nice place that I actually have like bookshelves behind me, you guys are going to see all my Black Figure series and my and just to give you an idea, Aaron, close your eyes, and my lightsabers.
Mine are just off camera as well.
My lightsabers are so damn bright it fucks up my friggin' screen. Anyway, so oh yeah, Shadows of the Empire. So it was all these things and an amazing video game on the Super NES. Dash Rendar playing the Outrider. Like they managed to create in video games what they have not been able to create ever since, and that's another smuggler as cool as Han Solo.
Yes. Cooler, in my opinion. Cooler.
Yeah, some people might call that heresy, but Harrison Ford hates the character of Han Solo, so fuck him. And yeah, I'm gonna go with it. Let's say he's cooler.
Because I never identified with Han Solo. I never did. I mean, everyone. I mean, even growing up as a kid, was like, I love Han Solo. I'm like, Han Solo's kind of a dick. I like Chewbacca.
Well, I like Han Solo. I did because he was a dick. Maybe that's just me. But the moment I heard like how dismissive Harrison Ford was about the character and the fact that like we have that stupid death scene in The Force Awakens because Harrison wanted out of the character. Yeah. And then he came back for that even dumber scene in The Rise of Skywalker. And I was like, couldn't he have just stayed dead?
No, I'm a Force ghost.
And you're not a Force ghost. You're just a Force manifestation of Kylo Ren's own guilt. Fuck you, J.J. Abrams. So I'm like the writing on the sequels is so bad. Like if you like them, I just want to clarify, if you're watching this right now and you like the sequels, I do not hate you. I'm not going to make fun of you.
I will.
No, we're not going to do that on the show.
I won't.
We are going to, like, if you love those movies, you should love them, and don't let any of us tell you otherwise.
Yeah, and that's
because
don't
our
let people
beef,
steal their magic. Yeah.
Because our beef as fans is not with our fellow fans. Our beef is with the writers who we feel did us dirty. And by the way, I also feel they did the actors dirty. Like they turned Poe into slapstick. They basically just got rid of Finn, who, in my opinion, was the most interesting character in the series. And then like Daisy Ridley, who is a phenomenal actress, and if you haven't seen Murder on the Orient Express, she steals every scene she's in, whether it's with Kenneth Branagh or Willem Dafoe or Dame Judi Dench. And we're not talking about, Tom, Dick, and Harry actors. These are titans of Hollywood, right?
Yeah, these are big names.
Yeah, she steals every scene she's in. And they give her, Rey, Mary Sue, Kenobi, Palpatine, Skywalker. What a waste of talent. And I'm sorry, if you like those movies, don't let my negativity affect you. I hate them, but you are more than welcome to love them. And I support you in that. And I appreciate your passion. And if you hate the fact that I hate them, I hate the fact that I hate them.
Yeah.
I just hate the writers more.
That's the thing, because I mean, visually, everything in the films look great. Yeah, everything looks amazing. Everything looks awesome. I want to be a part of it. I just can't stand the fucking writing. I just can't.
Yeah, the writing is just god awful. Anyway, moving on. Let's not be negative for the whole thing. So yeah, I am. Shadows of the Empire. I'm 100% into it.
I want to see like Old Republic stuff, and I would love to see Sith Wars, because that's something no one ever talks about. No one ever talks about the fucking Sith Wars.
I'm gonna quote Denzel Washington right here and say, my man. All right. So first off, the Old Republic, here's the thing. I don't want to do Darth Revan and Darth Malak. Like, if it happened, I would watch it and I would hope they did it right. But I really don't, because there's so much nostalgia wrapped up into that. And I still have Knights of the Old Republic on my PC. I still have Knights of the Old Republic on my Kindle Fire XD. So when I go traveling, I can play Knights of the Old Republic. The game's 20 years old. I'm still playing it.
That's a great game.
Yeah. Don't do that. Don't do that story. That story's already been done. But what you can do is do the precursor to that story. You can do the Mandalorian Wars. You can do young Revan and Malak. You know, how they got to be Darth Revan and Darth Malak when they were just Jedi who couldn't abide by the Council's decision to not help the Republic fight. Which, by the way, is a very interesting juxtaposition to what happened in the prequels.
Which was, the other way around. Yep.
Exactly. So, that could be a very interesting storyline. And the Sith Wars with Darth Bane, and how Darth Bane annihilated the rest of the Sith Empire and created the Rule of Two, which, by the way, was canonized by the Clone Wars season 6, where Yoda goes to, they call it Morabon now instead of Korriban. I guess their reasoning for that was, over the centuries, the name slowly changed, which I can live with, because nobody calls it the Austro-Hungarian Empire anymore, right?
This is true. True.
So that made more sense to me than just randomly changing the first letter from a K to an M. They were like, over the years, the stories of this planet were lost and changed, and I'm like, okay, that I can live with. All right, I get that. So what you're saying is, back in the time of the Old Republic, it was still Korriban, but in the time of Yoda, during the prequel era, it was called Morabon. Okay, I can live with that. So he goes to Morabon. He, transverses the the perils of the Valley of the Dark Lords. He finds Darth Revan's temple. Darth Revan's spirit appears to him, and he says, "Do you know who I am?" He says, "Yes, progenitor of the rule of two are you." Interesting note, by the way, Darth Bane in this scene is voiced by none other than Mark Hamill.
Yep.
I feel like we just need, like, I need to put that scene up from Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back where it says, "Hey kids, it's Mark Hamill." Applause.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, so the fact that Darth Bane is the progenitor of the rule of two has already been canonized. So I would love to see that story. And who would you like to see play Darth Bane?
Oh, that is such a hard question, because I don't know who could really do him justice.
Here's who I would do it. And it's kind of funny because he's already played a character of the same name, but I think he'd be a better fit. Tom Hardy.
I don't want Tom Hardy in Star Wars.
Have you watched the first season of Taboo on Hulu?
I have not seen Taboo, but I've heard good things.
He would be a phenomenal Darth Bane.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. And especially because if you look at he even kind of looks like Darth Bane from, like, if you add the black makeup here, which is how they illustrated him on the covers of the Drew Karpyshyn novels. Yeah, he even kind of looks like Bane, and I just think he's got the gravitas to pull it off. I think it would be awesome.
And he is the kind of actor that he'd would
jump at it.
Oh, dude, he would not only jump in it, he would, like, just melt himself into that role to the point that, like, everybody would be afraid to pick up a lightsaber against him, because he'd just be like, "I'm going to destroy you now."
Yeah, that would be awesome. So I'll tell you who. So somebody was asking. So we'll go back to the other old Republic scenes. So for Revan and Malik, I know for older Revan, if they ever did the older Revan, everybody wants Keanu Reeves, right? Like, that's been a thing for years online. You know who I want for Malik, and it's an unconventional choice. Nobody brings him up, but I think he could pull it off. Because remember, Malik's got that. He lost his jaw to a fight with Revan. So he's got that metal jaw thing going on there. So whatever actor is going to play him has to have very strong cheekbones and eyes that they can act through their cheeks and their eyes and be very expressive with their face, because they don't have lips and they don't have a mouth to be able to do that with. So everything's got to come through here. Luke Evans, who was Bard in the Hobbit.
I can see it.
Yeah, he was also in the most recent version of Dracula, whatever, like 8600th version they've done of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really think Luke Evans would be a great Malik, and I think he could provide because he's a jacked dude. He's in great shape, and I think he would provide a very menacing presence.
And his height is right too, because that's the other thing. People forget how tall Malik is supposed to be.
Yeah, he was taller than Revan. Let's see how tall Luke Evans is. Yeah, Luke. Well, he's 6 foot, so he's not.
Well, I'm gonna say you put like 3 inches of platform on him, and
although I tell you who, I might have just talked myself out of this. So hold on, let me get his IMDb page and see if this is who I think he is, and I'm almost positive that it is. Let's get to the early 2000s. Oh, I guess I'm wrong. Oh yeah, no, it is. Okay. The guy who played Thranduil in The Hobbit, also from The Hobbit, but he also was Ronan in Guardians of the Galaxy. Lee Pace.
Okay.
He was the king of the Mirkwood who was riding on the elk
Yeah, I know Lee Pace. He's a brilliant actor.
And he's also
Brilliant actor.
6'5".
Hey, you know what? You know what the funny thing is about Lee Pace is too? People actually don't realize how jacked he is.
Yeah, well, he's a big dude. Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, same. Like he's a well built guy.
And
So
I'm shocked that the king of the elves is from Oklahoma. I honestly thought that Lee Pace was like English. No, he's from
no,
Oklahoma.
he's from Oklahoma.
That shocks me. He is from Chickasha, Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a year younger than me. He's not even a year younger than me. He's like 4 months younger than me. You lucky prick. Anyway,
All the good genes.
motherfucker. Anyway, so yeah, so I could definitely see Lee Pace also being
I think
Malik.
now that being an Okie and now, you know, seeing like kind of my own little mental image of Lee Pace with that like metal,
Yeah.
bit going on there, and just like that dead-eyed scowl that he kind of does like almost naturally is
Right.
I think it would just be perfect.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think so. I've talked to myself. Sorry, Luke Evans. We'll find you another role.
We'll
Maybe
find
you
the
can
other
play
role, yeah.
Maybe you can play Carthonasi.
Yeah, I might be a good Carthonasi.
Yeah, or Canderous Ordo.
I don't think he's tenacious enough to be Canderous.
All right, fair enough. But Carthonasi, we'll leave it at Carthonasi. We'll still get you in the cast. You're just not going to get to be Malik. So
your part won't be as big.
Yeah, you'll still be there though. Well, actually, it'll be bigger. It just won't be as impactful. But yeah. So you took my thunder with taking those stories. So now I got to figure out another story that I want to see in Star Wars.
Let's see a retelling of the Ewok tale.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and pass on that one. All right. I will do two options. I hope that Kenobi spins off a Crimson Dawn storyline that gives us Darth Maul trying to make his way in an Empire world, trying to find Kenobi, with Ray Park as Maul and Sam Witwer, who is the voice of Maul through Clone Wars and Rebels, as the voice of Maul.
Yeah.
Just like there was in the cutscene at the end of Solo. So that's one story that I would definitely get behind.
That would be fun. Yes.
The other story that I would rock the hell out of would be a story about 40 years before episode 1 with Yoda training Count Dooku.
That would be interesting.
And I would probably go with Lee Pace as a young freaking Christopher Lee as well, actually.
Yeah, no, because his features are perfect
for that. Yeah. Perfect. So that would be another one. Like there's so many great stories we could do.
Because that would be perfect, because that ties back in, because who did Dooku teach?
Qui-Gon.
Qui-Gon right there.
Excuse me, wrong tube.
We'll
have to edit that out. Sorry.
But it's Qui-Gon, and
yep.
I mean, and the shit, man, I would love him just to even go and explain Grievous more, because the story of Grievous is really fucking sad if you think about it, because of the way that he's manipulated by Sidious and Dooku the entire time.
Yeah.
And that even though he's technically dead, he's brought back and like he has Jedi blood in him, but he doesn't know anything about it.
He's anti-Phil Coulson.
Yeah, pretty much.
Tahiti, it's a magical place.
No, I could see that, or maybe just explaining Yoda more would also be interesting, like explaining Yoda kind of thing.
I don't want them to explain too much on Yoda, and I'll tell you why. Because the biggest mistake I think George Lucas ever made in regards to Star Wars, beyond showing an 8-year-old Lord Vader, is trying to explain a connection with the Force, trying to bring in a biological explanation with the midichlorians.
Oh, I hated that.
Some mysteries are better left mysteries.
Yeah, just leave it just leave it space magic.
Yeah, some have it, some don't. And the one decision that I absolutely 100% agree with that Lucas made was to leave Yoda's species a mystery. Yoda's species is technically referred to as Yoda's species.
Because nobody knows anything about it.
Nobody knows.
He's technically the last.
Well, now Grogu is now. Yeah. Baby Yoda, and people are like, it's not Baby Yoda, it's Grogu. Well, Yoda species is called Yoda species, so to call it a Baby Yoda is technically like calling it a baby human. It's technically correct, so stop being a douche. But there haven't been many canon members of Yoda species. There's been Yoda, Yaddle, and now Grogu. That's it.
Yeah.
Because
technically, I don't even know anything about Yaddle.
Yaddle appears briefly in the Clone War, or I should say in Episode 1. She was on the council, and
the weird little thing with the eye patch.
That's Evan Piel. He is not a member of the Yoda species. He's Atlantic. That's a different member. Yaddle was actually standing over Anakin's shoulder at the end at the celebration on Naboo. But what Yaddle was a discarded puppet for Yoda, and they just decided to put it in the movie, and it looked relatively female in comparison to previous versions of Yoda, so they called it Yaddle, and it became canon. It's basically an accident. They did write some stories for her, and they did write a death for her, except for the fact that death was rendered non-canon by the Disney purchase of Lucas when they got rid of the entire EU. So Yaddle is the last we know canon in Disney of Yaddle is that she stepped down from the Jedi High Council sometime between Episode 1 and Episode 2 to focus more on her studies of the Jedi rather than the politics of the Jedi. That's all we know.
Which means she could have gone anywhere to do anything.
To give birth to Grogu.
What?
Grogu was technically, well, actually, she would have already given birth to Grogu if she gave birth to Grogu, because Grogu was born in the same year as Anakin Skywalker. And I just noticed that what's his face? The Spacer's Choice dude's head is sitting right directly on top of my head, and that's kind of amusing. Anyway, but so Yaddle could be Grogu's mom, and somebody brought that up and then was made fun of for it, and I was like, well, dude, do you know any other female canon members of Yoda's species running around a galaxy far, far away at the time of the prequels? Because I don't.
Yeah, I don't either.
So it's a reasonable assumption.
Yeah, now, and if anyone says, let's say he could be the offspring of Yoda directly.
He could be Yoda and Yaddle's kid.
Yeah.
Maybe they only have 1 or 2 per generation, and that's why they're so long-lived. Who knows? Mm-hmm. We just don't know because George didn't tell us. The other theory about Grogu is, this is my personal theory that I came up with when he was first shown, was that at the time of Grogu's birth, Yoda was already on the Jedi High Council, had been for many years. He was Grand Master of the Order. And a young senator from Naboo had just been elected to the Imperial Senate. And he was already a Sith Lord at this point. Maybe one of his, and we know he has a, shall we say, penchant for cloning.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe one of his agents was able to obtain a bit of Yoda's DNA. People were like, well, how would you obtain Yoda's DNA? Go through enough garbage, you'll find anybody's DNA.
I was about to say, and also at the same time, you poke around the Jedi, council
Temple.
long enough.
Yeah.
I mean,
You
he has
might
to eat.
Yeah, exactly. Or you could have just shaken a young senator's hand. Who knows?
Yeah.
Now, the reason why I don't think this has happened is because, well, he wouldn't have had so much trouble creating Snoke.
No. Yeah.
Yeah,
no.
if so, that's why I
You
don't think it happened. But so realistically, Grogu is probably Yoda and Yaddle's kid. Unless they procreate in some other fashion, which we haven't been discussed yet. So anyway, there's a lot of crazy shit we could do with Star Wars. I mean, it's so nuts. There's so many. I just want them
ask they step away from the Skywalker line for a while.
Well, and they are to an extent, because they're gonna. So here's what they're gonna do. Like, to me, there's a lot of people that say they should retcon the sequel trilogy. It's never gonna happen. There's some people that say there's going to be 2 different timelines. Ahsoka lives and Ahsoka dies. And we will get to that in another podcast where we're doing, I could wax poetic on that for an entire podcast, and we will do that one night.
Too.
But what I really think is going to happen is I just think that John and Dave are going to ignore the sequel trilogy altogether, and they're going to tell their story. They're going to make no references to it.
Yep.
And then they're going to end their story. And then whether or not you think events go on 20 years later to the sequel trilogy, okay, that's cool for you. Me, that's going to be my sequel trilogy, and I'm just going to be like, nope, it ended right there. That's where the story ended, and I don't care anything else. I want to go see stuff that happened 3,000 years before that now. So we'll see how it works out. But man, there's so much they could do. I just hope they do the right stuff.
Yeah, no, same.
So
same.
All right. I think we are just about done for tonight. We went a little longer than I expected because,
totally, yeah.
Well, it's what we do.
Anyway,
but thanks. Appreciate you sticking with us. If you have stuck with us, if you haven't, well, but if you have stuck with,
reach our topic point of the night either, too. So
which one?
Save that for another. We didn't hit we hit everything else, but the
Outer Worlds. God,
but we'll do it another time.
We'll do. All right, we'll do. It's Star Wars, dude. I went nuts on Star Wars. I apologize, folks. I'm sitting here with a lightsaber in my lap. I just went nuts on Star Wars.
I have 2 in front of me, and I have my tattoos. No, I understand. I'm very happy. No.
Yeah. So, all right. So here's the deal, folks. Thank you for sticking with us. Next week, we're going to just do a whole episode on the Outer Worlds.
Yes.
We're going to deep dive into it.
Because we both could really deep dive into that as well, because we love both. And
we love Obsidian. Actually, you know what? Let's do an entire Obsidian show.
Let's do that. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll start off with the Outer Worlds, and if we run out of content, then we'll talk about Pillars of Eternity. We'll talk about the new Avowed game they're coming up with. We'll talk about what we want for Outer Worlds 2. Yeah, we're just going to deep dive into all things Obsidian, Fallout, New Vegas, Knights of the Old Republic 2. We'll probably try to stay away from that too much, because if I get derailed on Star Wars again. But yeah, so we're going to do an all Obsidian all night episode next time, folks. If you manage to stick with us, remember, he is the squad leader, Kendall Scott Cooper. I am the brewing sailor, Brendan Smith. Please hit that subscribe and give that alert bell a good old tickle. And we will see you next time on the Late Night Nerd Show. Say goodnight, Scott.
Bye-bye.